welcome back to Ireland's podcast. And Stevie said he's sick of this podcast. Why is that, Stevie?
Well, you always seem to start a podcast with some lie about me, and
I don't know if it's a lie. Like,
I'm sick of it.
you're literally ranting there before we started about how you hate this and you feel like you're forced to do it and all this crack.
That is not true, not at all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're joined by a guest who probably wants to be here more than Stevie does. We're joined by Strange Boy. And can I say your real name, or do you keep that like? Are you?
Say my real name, yeah.
Yeah, you're always Jordan Kelly, yeah, which is funny because like normally, it actually took me a bit to find that out online. Like normally it's like, I don't know, it's easier to find someone's name, but you've managed to really connect your face with the name, like Strange Boy. Where does the name come from? Actually, that's why.
My name used to be John in DK, and I was like, every time I came off stage from a show, like people were like, that's one of the things they kept asking me. Oh, what's your name again, man? Like, do you know what I mean? They kept, fucking up the name. So
Yeah.
I just thought I'd change it just because it was a bit, like, it seemed it was a bit difficult for people to remember.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Strange Boy. It just popped into my head one day.
That's mad.
Yeah.
There's not much reason. Just it was the one that worked.
Yeah, as long as it fits, man. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
funny how that shit works. Like
Yeah.
I sometimes people think, like, even with like doing events and stuff, I always notice like people can overthink the name, but sometimes it's about bringing the name to life. Like,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
yeah, because like we were saying that like there's like a band, like people are saying they have such a good name, and I was kind of thinking like, was the name good when they first started? Because everyone goes, oh, we can't think of a name, it's real cringy. But like I feel like most things are cringy when they first start,
Exactly,
and you make it good then. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Once you start getting a bit of success, no one gives a shit what your name is.
yeah,
like, you know?
exactly. Yeah, yeah, it's mad. And yeah, you're from Limerick.
Yeah.
And which is, we've had Hazy Hayes on before, and Chrome was on the episode. And yeah, like what is it about? Like, do you feel like, I'm interested to talk about like the Limerick side of it. Like, do you feel like you could have, like, as part of your identity is very Limerick? Like, do you feel like if you were born in another county that you'd be rapping now?
Yeah, probably not, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the thing about Limerick. It was like, meeting all the right people and hanging around with the people I hung around with at the time. It's like how I got into rapping in the first place. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if I was in like fucking Offaly, I'd be into like JAA or something.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I wouldn't be
Yeah,
rapping, like,
or Monaghan, man.
exactly.
They live up there in Monaghan
Monaghan.
mushrooms. That's all they've got.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. Like it's cool to see though Limerick. We were just talking about like the music generation aspect of it and how like that helped to like form. Like, yeah, what was the story there? Like, why did you? Because Hazy Hayes mentioned music generation before. Like, what is it, that music generation? Like, how is that? What part had that to play in like you rapping? Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, I got into rap. I was into rap before I went into music gen for like a few years. But like, I didn't, I had this like false confidence that I was like the best and, there was no one better than me. I thought I was, for whatever reason, I thought I was the only person in the country actually rapping. I don't know.
That's
what
mad.
Yeah, I was naive.
what age were you?
I was like 12, 13, do you know what I mean? So, I don't know, I was thinking mad shit. But yeah, no, I didn't show my stuff. I only showed my stuff to like one of my friends at the time. I didn't show it to anyone else. But then through like, I got kicked out of school when I was like 14, 15, and then through that, then I went into like a youth reach program down in Ross, and then God knows came in one day just to like, I don't know, do like a workshop with the class I was in, and then I rapped for him, and then he told me to go down to a place called the Learning Hub in Killeely. And then through that, I met Andy Connolly. And then when I was rapping for him, because at first he wanted to try teach me how to make beats, but I was like, I'm not fucking interested in that. So then I just started rapping for him. And then he told me to come up to the classes in town in Music Gen. They were at like, I think they were on Henry Street at the time. They moved a few times now over the years. But anyway, I got in there. And then that's how I like kind of stuck at it. I just kept going. It was like every Saturday.
Yeah.
They'd like teach you like, well, first thing I had to do anyway, I was told, was to drop the American accent. You know what I mean? Because I was rapping like.
Oh really?
Yeah, I was rapping like a Yank man, talking about Glocks and shooting cops and all that shit. But, yeah, no, it was good.
Who would you have been like influenced by? Would you have had like would it been like West Coast sounding or East Coast, or was there any particular people that you would have found yourself sounding like from America. Or,
It was definitely Big L. Big L is my favorite rapper.
really?
Yeah, 100%.
That's a random. I don't hear too many people saying Big L. Like that's I like Big L as well. That's
No,
funny.
he's amazing, man.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, he was he was like, I was big into him back then. So much that I was just emulating him so much to the point where I was like trying to pull off the accent and all. It was fucking mental. But
When did you find like the like what age, or was it long? Like when was the point when you started like, you know, finding that you could do it in your own accent? Like
probably around 14 when I was told just to like, you can't be, you're from down the road, do you know what I mean? You're not from the
Yeah.
Bronx, you can't be rapping like this.
yeah.
And then at first I kind of took it like, you know, it's just, you don't know what you're talking about, go away. But then obviously common sense prevailed and I just dropped that.
Yeah, yeah. It is mad. Like, do you mind me asking what you got kicked out of school for?
I got kicked out of school for fighting, man. I just
Yeah.
never was you know, I never fit into that like kind of mold of like, you know, the, you know, normal schools, like, you know, it's not for everyone, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was just getting into fights all the time, do you know what I mean? Because like, you know, I was a quiet kid, so people kind of seen that as like a thing to try pick on me for. So then when I stood up for myself, I was getting into fights a lot, and then it just got to the point as well. You know, I was coming in late, I was missing days, I was fighting, so they just, you know, they threw me out. And
Yeah.
then social workers as well were getting involved, trying to take me away from my mother at the time because she was very depressed.
Yeah.
So they seen it as a thing like there's no discipline in the house, like my mother doesn't care, or like, you know, my father wasn't around, you know, so they thought it was like a parenting thing, but it wasn't. It was just, do you know what I mean? I was a quiet kid and I was,
Yeah.
you know, getting into fights and that was.
And you're like trying to. I never got kicked out, but like I was kind of felt like nearly run out kind of like thing, like in a couple of situations, and I just hated school. Like I went through 3 different secondary schools in a couple of years, like, and it was just what's weird about it though, and I noticed this with other people, similar stories like yourself, is that they never. You hear about them again, and not just like through like, and I'm just talking about like people like, you know, becoming popular or anything like that. I'm just talking about like they always end up in interesting situations or interesting lives. Almost like you can tell that they become nearly creative people. Often they're very creative people, and they were just like, you know, it's like putting like, I don't know what they're like trying to for a bird to survive in an aquarium. Like it doesn't make sense. Like it's like they're just in the wrong environment.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, and I don't know, maybe it's changed now, but that like teachers can't spot that. I would spot that a mile away in a kid. Like if I seen someone who was like fighting and shit like that, because it was the same growing up. Like all the people who were fighting and shit, they actually had the most amount offered. Where like they had something about them. They were really alive or something. And they could really, I don't know, bring something. I think the problem is that like it just made the teachers wanted an easier job, you know, or something. They wanted to ignore it. Like, and it was like
it's weird as well because like the teachers are so close to like almost actually getting it, as in like in your situation there, like they recognize, oh, there must be like, you must be in like a wrong environment, but they completely disregarded that the school could be the wrong environment. And they're like, oh, it must be your home life, and like that happens to so many people where like they don't seem to just stop and think, oh, maybe it's just school doesn't.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
It's so common for so many people. It's where they just cop on by now and know, okay, some people just like fucking normal mainstream school isn't for them. Like,
yeah. And even for them to go about like condemning your household, like, because even if the problem was at the household, it's like, well, if you spot that problem, then like they should be there. Like, well, then shouldn't you do something about it to make the school a better place? Like, if they say that about kids all the time, like, oh, they're finding it hard at home, and then it's like, why are you making it harder for them when they're not at home? Then
I had actually a mad thing. I hated this now, but when there was one point that I was coming in late so many times that like this fella from the school, he was like a crusty looking fella, but he drove like a Harley bike, but like
a teacher, like, or something.
Not a teacher. He just like he'd be like helping all the like troubled kids. Or
oh,
whatever,
okay,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
But like it got to the point that I was coming in late and I was missing days so much that this man would pull up to my house every morning at like 8 o'clock and just beep the fucking horn of his bike, and I had to literally walk out the door just so he knew I was up.
That's mad.
Just so he could go back to the school and be like, no, he's up. I was like,
what was that about?
It was just trying to make me to, you know, go to school more. I was like, but it made me worse, like, do you know what I mean?
That is fucking mental.
Fucking
like,
weird, man. Do you know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck is this little hippie pulling up outside my house for? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it is the whole thing. Resistance causes resistance. Like, it's like, man, like, it's so bad, like how they taught like that. Whatever way in teachers' head, they thought the more that they could shout, that the more they could like get someone to fucking obey in their head. And never once like did they ever spot that this isn't working.
Yeah.
Like as it never did. Like shouting with her, even if they were hitting kids, like it just never worked. And they didn't have like enough brains to go, I'm making it worse here for themselves. Like it was really weird. But part of me goes though as well, like some of those teachers were like a bit strange. Like they probably didn't want you to change because they were probably getting something out of fucking conflict like themselves. Like
100%, man. I like there was a PE teacher in there. He was like mad creeped to the girls that were going there. Like he'd go into the girls' dressing room and he's just like there was loads of like girls like reporting him and nothing was ever done. But like he was, I mean, it's just weird. Like
it is.
I mean, and he just to look at him, he was a creepy bastard. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't
it
know.
is weird. I do feel like nearly though there's less. Like my theory in my head is the reason there are so much weird teachers and stuff like that is, and why I think you'll see less of it is because people becoming teachers now want to. Yeah. There's a lot of time our generation even experienced like the entail of people in the positions as teachers because they thought they wanted that job or they got passed on the job. Like some of the older teachers that we would have had like would have actually been there because they got the job years ago, hadn't it, just because there was a job and maybe it was paying well at the time and they kind of stayed there for years. And it was like, now I think you do have like all these younger people, like there's a fucking college in Thurles where people train to become teachers. And like you can tell that like they would be good with the kids, like because they want to do it. Like
exactly, yeah.
I think there's still a thing that happens. I agree there that it doesn't happen as much, but I think there's still a thing of. Yeah. I think why it happens is like you're in secondary school and it's all that like strict routine and you have to do this and blah blah blah. So you get used to that and you get used to the routine of secondary school. And when it comes to choosing the college, you're like, you don't know what you want to do because you just had no guidance on what job you want. So you think, oh well, like I'm good at like geography and English. So you go off and you study geography and English in college. And then when you're in college, you're like, shit, I don't know what job I'll do with this. Oh, sure, I'll go into teaching. And it's because you have that comfort of you remember, oh, sure, I went through like fucking school my whole life. And then I went into college. And now I'm just going to go back and teach in the school.
Yeah, it's mad.
Because it's just like you've no other idea of where to go. Yeah, so you just go back to what you knew.
You're probably right, actually.
That's not necessarily at all what you're good at. So you end up people who like, yeah, they know their subject, but they can't teach for shit and they hate kids. Like,
yeah, that's mad. You're probably right, actually. It's probably, yeah. Did you find, like, I always say it's people that older generations, like conversations where they go, Jay, like they say shit like, oh, you're lucky you weren't hitting stuff like that in by the teachers like we were. And I actually reckon though there's parts that they didn't experience that we did. Did you ever feel like there was more mental abuse or nearly than the physical? So like, yeah, right, we weren't really hit the way they were fucking 30 years ago, but there was this weird undertone of like mental manipulation I seen with some teachers that you get the feeling that if they like the ones who if they were allowed to hit you they would, so they were still taking it out in more mental ways. Did you ever like experience any of that? Or
oh yeah, definitely, man. In primary school this one time there was this teacher that fucking absolutely hated me, but like he just couldn't hit me, but there was one I never used to do my homework in primary or whatever, so but there was this one time I actually did it just to get me man off my back or whatever, and then I brought it into him the next day. He was going around collecting the homework or whatever, and he's picked up mine, and then he brought it back to his desk or whatever. And he comes back to me, he's like, "Where's your homework?" I was like, "I'm after giving it to you." Then he punished me for not having my homework. So he's a bit weird. He's a bit fucking weirdo, like. But
see, that's exactly a fucking brilliant example I'm on about, because I reckon that shit barely ever happened in other times, because I'm not saying it definitely still did, but the thing is they didn't need to do that because they could just hit you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I reckon like that doesn't, like, obviously getting hit is still bad, but I reckon that doesn't fuck up a head's kid the way doing that shit. Like that's like that gaslighting, manipulating shit. Like that's mad shit to do to a kid. Like
exactly. Yeah, especially like 10-year-old kids. You know.
Yeah,
pretty weird.
Like you can actually see how that would do more damage than just a slap. So I always say that to older generations, like don't be so sure that like all the kids these days have it easy and all this shit. Like, cause like that shit's still going on. Like it's kind of mad. Yeah, with your music, like, how are you with your music at your moment, or with your music career, if you want to call it that? Like, where are you at with it? Are you plans, or you were kind of saying when we were walking up, I was talking to you, that you were kind of taking it easy at the moment.
So I released my debut kind of album last year, the summer of last year, and then kind of toured that for a while. then it just got like very tiring just to do the same tunes over and over again. Like, do you know what I mean? Up and down the country, obviously, like doing it. So, but like, you know, it's obviously it has its good parts. You know what I mean? Like people support me, and you know, I built a fan base out of that or whatever. But I don't know. It's like because all my tunes are very dark and depressing, so it's just a bit mad to keep like reenacting them emotions on stage. You know what I mean, for people or whatever. But yeah, no, I'm working on my next album anyway, my new one. So I said I'll be out next year.
Do you find, like you were saying about, do you find like every time, yeah, I actually remember thinking about that recently. It's like writing my own thing. Like I never release it. I just like write my own thing for myself, whatever. I find it really good for fucking, you know, feeling your emotions, whatever, or letting shit out. But like, there's some, like the things I wrote would be a bit like dark and stuff. I couldn't imagine like, because like, is it weird that like, okay, you're supposed to be doing a show and it's like, oh, this is exciting and it's supposed to be having a good time, but then you're also going on nearly opening up wounds. Like,
yeah.
that must be strange. Like,
yeah, very strange, man. Because like, I've had people come up to me when I came off stage, like crying in my face. You know what I mean? Being like, I relate to you so much, and that's obviously amazing.
Yeah,
I'm glad I can be that person for them to come up to and be like open up like that. It's just a lot of responsibility though, because like I'm not even all the way like right in my head myself. Do you know what I mean? I'm still like, you know, trying to fix myself or whatever. But yeah, no, it's mad, man. It's like a heavy weight, but like I suppose the good side of that is like people can actually feel like, you know, there's people out there that's like going through the same thing they're going through, and like they're not like, you know, they're not suffering by themselves or whatever, you know.
And it's really powerful to see someone like yourself saying it. Like anyone that's like, because like when you see someone that's like, you know, doing something like or fully like, you know, diving into like what feels like a purpose, like music or something yourself, like instantly when like someone comes across you, like they think, oh well, he's like got songs out there, like they will go in their head like, geez, they must have their shit together. And that can make seeing all these people with their shit together, like all these musicians and whether actors, writers, poets, everything, like people on Instagram, even just influencers having their shit together, actually I feel like does so much damage to like the general population. But then when they have people like yourself who are actually, you know, fully their creative thing is actually, you know, telling the world how they really are, like that's so powerful for like the general population to hear that shit, like, and feel, I don't know, like it's kind of like, well, he's feeling that way and he's also doing something he enjoys. It kind of gives people hope, like, as well. I definitely get that one.
Like there is like an intense pressure that you feel like, oh, I have to have my shit together, like especially people will put like age milestones on it as well, like they're like like, you know, it's like 30 is a big one for a lot of people. It's like, oh, I have to have all my shit together and my life started by I'm 30, otherwise I'm a failure. And then people reach like their mid-20s and realize, oh, I'm not going to reach that point, and they freak out about it. But sure, then you look at like all these people who, like, you know, they didn't get famous till they're 40 or 50, or they didn't like like a director who made their best movie like at the age of like 55 or 60. You see like everyone in the world is on a different timeline, so like people don't have to have their shit sorted out by any age. Like, ideally, you'd want them to get their head sorted out as quick as possible. Like you'd want them to, you know, people deserve to be happy and stuff, but like you shouldn't feel that pressure of like, if you don't have your shit sorted, you're not a fucking failure.
Yeah, and what even is that? Like, who has their shit together? Like, what even is that? Like,
no one.
What does that even mean? Like, it's like saying that someone has a normal life. It's like, what does that mean either? Like,
fair.
It's weird though. But like, you're definitely right though. Like, the age thing is like, I seen that like Morgan Freeman was in his first movie when he was like fucking 50, or I don't know, something like that. Mad stuff. Which is always motivating as well. Do you find like, you know, your songs are very personal and emotional. Did you feel like by singing them or creating them added more weight to you, or did you feel like a release of those emotions that the songs were about from writing the songs?
I think it was I think it was a release, because like at the time of me writing that whole album, I was like going through a very dark period in my life. You know, my mother was very depressed, and you know, she was suicidal. You know, got to the point where like I thought, like, you know, I'd come home one day and she'd just be, you know, dead or whatever. And then I got very, very depressed myself as well. And then, you know, it was just a very lonely, dark time for me. And then on top of that, I had the like weight of like I had to write an album. And I didn't want to go back to my man and be like, look, I can't give you the album. I'm depressed, because that's not like, I mean, that's not fair on him as well, because like,
Because had you something agreed with, like with
yeah, exactly.
with the manage?
Yeah, I signed a contract. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
That's my responsibility. Do you know what I mean? I can't like back out of it all of a sudden just because like I'm depressed or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But it got yeah. My mother got better, and then I eventually got better, and then yeah, just timing was perfect. I just wrote the album then in like a month, and then the whole thing was recorded then like 2021, and then released it. So
that's class, man.
yeah, it was good, man. But like at the time, music was the last thing I wanted to do.
Yeah,
so that's why the tunes are very dark as well, because it's exactly how I felt at the time of writing them. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, no, I was fucking mad.
And like, yeah, you know, especially that I've had same experience, like, well, like a lot of people in my life, that fear of like, them, if they're feeling suicidal, and you finding that like there is a knot that puts in your stomach that like no other thing or event in the world does.
No, yeah.
And it's fucking horrible. And that like trying to connect to being creative when you have that knot in your stomach is like, I don't know how you did. I don't know how you did a whole album, because that shit's like paralyzing. Like, and it's fucking fair play to you for doing that. And I suppose it's kind of like nearly two birds at one stone, that you were able to use that to sort of, I don't know, what's the word, like sort of launch the album nearly, or add to it. Like, do you find are you like a bit away from that now, like what you were going through then? Like, do you feel like better at the moment compared to then? Like,
oh yeah, definitely, man. I'm a lot happier anyway, for one thing. Just like,
yeah,
I'm not happy, at peace, like I'd say. Do you know what I mean? I think peace is a lot more important than happiness. Cause happiness comes and goes, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm good now, man. Do you know, my mother's good, my family's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I go gym as much as I can, which is a big thing for me, because like I was a lazy cunt there for a long time. Do you know what I mean? So it's just good to go to the gym to like get that like kind of energy, pent up energy out of you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put it somewhere, like, do you know what I mean? Because like writing doesn't always do the trick, or other things. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of the time I was like drinking away my like problems. Do you know what I mean? Trying to waste the money. Do you know, all that stupid shit. But the gym's a good outlet to kind of release all that bad energy. So
yeah. Would you go earlier in the day or later in the day? If you?
I'd go early in the day. I go around 11 or 12.
Yeah, it's like one of the I've been bad last few months with it, but when I do go, like when I am on it and I'm going there, like it's like there's something about it. That's why I'm always like, why am I not going? Like, why am I saying this shit? Like, oh, I don't have time, but like, there's nothing more important than that, I think. And then I'm doing a bad job or disservice to myself by not going, because like the fucking what you get out of that is insane. Like it's indescribable, and if you do it consistently as well, like it just
that's amazing, man. The benefits, like even like I've seen this thing where like, you know, old people like who like if they like take a small fall and they like break a hip, I heard the thing that's just down to like them having no strength in their body, like because they never really worked out, or they never like, do you know what I mean? They never took care of themselves that way. Do you know what I mean? My mother now has that. She's like I think it's like osteoporosis or something. I don't know the specific term for it, like, but it's like you break your bones very easy. Do you know? It's mad.
Okay, yeah. That is mad.
But I even find myself like even like as a young person as well, like during the winter, like because I wouldn't be going out doing things more, and like because it, like, you know, that the house would be colder, like I'd be lying down more with like cover myself in a blanket or something to keep warm. And because I'm not using my legs, like I'll get like really bad pains in my knees. Only ever in the winter. And so like whenever the house, I'm always like, Jesus, it must be like fucking 10 times worse for older people. Like, you know.
Yeah, 100%. That's funny you said that. I only had actually a similar experience. Like my ankle was like bad there for a long while, and I just bad pains in my legs in general. Then but I didn't like work. I didn't do any like leg workouts for like months. But I did one there the other day, and all the pain just went away magically. It was like mad. I mean, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah. But sure, I used to get like awful back pain when I was like, I suppose like late teens, like kind of, and like 18, 19, like, and I was trying everything, like I just kept getting back pain, and then I was just like, right, look, I'll just like lift weights. Like I looked up like things to do. I rarely get back pain anymore. Like, I just fixed my just doing like that workout for like whatever number of months I did it. Like just kind of fixed my posture enough that it's like, oh, grand. No, my back is fine. Like.
Exactly, it's mad, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. We always think it's like something complex, but it's always more down to simple stuff. The other thing is like I was watching this interview with some like famous NFL player. I can't remember his name. He's huge, like over there, and they were kind of asking him, they're like, "Oh, what's your diet like? Can you tell us?" Like, you know, they were expecting to be a strict diet. He was like, I have the worst diet in the world. He was like, I eat McDonald's like twice, 3 times a day. He was like, he just eats shit. He just eats sweets. He doesn't eat vegetables. Doesn't eat anything. And you're like, what the fuck? This guy's one of the greatest athletes of all time. And you're just like, and he says, but he works out twice a day. He says, if you're working out, he reckons like the amount it clears those toxins because your blood flow is going, everything's moving. Now he works out hard twice a day, is what he says. So he says that's why he feels like his body can handle that shit. But like, it's really interesting to see the power of that, like working out, like, and it's like the fucking most important thing. And I better get back down it.
Yeah, no, it's the best thing to keep yourself young anyway, for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
Definitely. Yeah. Do you mind me asking, like, because I couldn't get into the article because I think it was a printed thing, the People and Culture article, and the front page, it was like the title of the article was "You drink a litre of whiskey and cut yourself." Was that
mad? Fuck me, I didn't know he was going to use that fucking headline by his gas.
So what happened there? That did why? Was he not meant to? Or?
No. I just didn't think he'd.
It was just very
needed
straight.
A headline. Yeah, it's very straight out. Do you know what I mean? But that was just around the time that my mother was depressed and I was depressed.
Yeah.
So when I got very depressed, I started drinking very heavily and just like self-harming, you know, cutting myself. And at the you know, it was just, I think it wasn't even to try like kill myself or whatever. It was just to kind of just, because I felt nothing. I felt like absolutely nothing. It was just numb. It wasn't, do you know what I mean? So it was just something to kind of make me feel something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just for that brief release.
Yeah, that's just I couldn't explain it at the time because I was like I'd stare at the wall for hours and just be in a complete daze. Yeah. Then I'd just go drinking and then it was a bad buzz.
Yeah, I've definitely had it before. It's weird. Like, it's like you want to actually, because you just get so numb where you just don't. You kind of question if you're even human or something. You kind of question if you're even if you exist. Like, or you can become that numb where it's like you need to feel something to like sort of feel in the moment or something. It's weird.
Or like the fact, or like when you're in a daze, like you mightn't even be think like, cause like usually when people are like sad or upset, people are like, oh, what are you upset about? And like if you have a reason, you kind of feel justified. But like when you're in like a deep depression, a lot of time there's like no reason. You're just lying there staring at the wall, and you're not necessarily thinking about anything to make you depressed. But then you realize that you're not thinking about anything, and you feel worse then because you're like, I don't even have a reason to feel like this. And I feel like this, like
that is mad. Like,
no, it's a crazy thing, depression, man. You know?
Yeah.
Mad complex. It's mad for different people. Like my mother had like clinical depression, which was like, you know, there was no thought. Like I thank God I came out of it. Like, you know, fucking through like, you know, just positive little steps. But my mother, like, she was like just clinically depressed. So like I seen her one time. I went to the hospital to see her, and she was like very skinny. Like, you know what I mean? I'd never seen her that skinny in my life. I was shocked. I was like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, pills are overprescribed these days, but you know, in cases like that, it's
I 100% agree with that.
That's grand. You know what I mean? Like if they like, if nothing's else working, take pills. You know what I mean? And if it works, it works. Do you know what I mean? If it doesn't come off, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to be like pure, like one of those people that was like, you know, they're all fucking mad pharmaceutical things, but I definitely learned like that there are situations like that where they're fucking a blessing, like
100%,
like
miracle,
a miracle, like
100%.
they're magical. And I used to be like, oh, fucking people using this shit, why aren't they using all natural stuff? And I think the majority of the time, you know, there's still room for the natural stuff, and like as you said, it's overprescribed. But I definitely learned, like, it actually made me go, fuck, actually fair play to humans for making those things for situations like that. And like to get, like, you need that, like, to put like a fucking, like a block in the road or whatever the term is, like something to just kind of, you know, make things okay just for the moment till you figure out like how the other thing, because like even if it's like, if the answer is eating healthy and like doing the gym and all that, when you're in that stage, like what you're saying, where you're not even thinking, it's like you need something to be able to even think again to know what the natural things are. And it's it's really fucking.
It's like, you know, it's like that usual shite of like when someone's depressed and people are like, oh, go out in nature, go for a walk and stuff. It's like, and you're just like, they're saying that to you, and you're just thinking to yourself like, I'm so depressed I haven't been able to shower for fucking 2 weeks. You're telling me to go walk in the woods.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like there's no fucking chance, boy. No chance.
Yeah, it is fucking mad. Like, and you find like, you know, was any of it like? Would you see much of that growing up in Limerick? I always say Thurles is kind of like a smaller Limerick. Like, would you found, I don't know, is there is depression common and stuff like in in the area where you would have grown up and
Yeah, like a few people I know grown up killed themselves. Just they were very young, so it was like it was mad at the time as well. I just didn't understand that. I just like, why would you do something like that? You know what I mean? But obviously, when you're not in the mind state of that, like, you know, because it like you don't really understand what depression's like unless you really like get into the dark side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's very very bad. But yeah, no, but like I went to the doctor one time as well. This is just the other side of the coin. Like I went to a doctor one time when I was like 19 or something, and I was like, I don't know if I was actually depressed, but I felt shit for like a few months. So I went to the doctor like and told him I had depression. Then straight away, he didn't even say nothing about therapy and none of that. He just straight away prescribed me a lot of fucking tablets, man. I was like,
yeah, see, that is the other side of the
you know
coin.
what I mean? So I didn't take them, like, but it was like, it was just still a bit mad, like, do you know what I mean? Like 3 different tablets.
Yeah.
What's that about, like, do you know what I mean?
That is the other side of the coin, and that's why I do think it's okay for people to do talk about, like, people should be wary that, like, you know, not all doctors are like fucking there to, like, you know, bring you this miracle drug or anything like that. Or, you know, some of them want to make sure that they get their job done quicker or something like that. Like, I don't know what it is, but.
And you kind of need both a lot of the time, you know. Like, and like you would like, I wouldn't mind, like, 'cause, like I had the same thing. Like when I first like realized I was depressed, I went to the doctor and I was just like, all right, and then just prescription, here you go, and no advice. Whereas like if they had handed me that and said, here's some resources to look into, like here's coping mechanisms, here's this, and all the other stuff, all the work you do yourself, like alongside taking medication, then it'd be fine. But they don't do that. They just like, take this and then you'll feel better, and then 6 months later you're not feeling better and you're like, well, the drugs aren't working, I'm just broken.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Yeah,
it is fucking mad. Do you like, well, I was reading an article where you were talking about Limerick and about how you felt like the politicians could be doing more for Limerick and stuff. Like, I don't think it was in 2020, maybe I read that was when that article came out, but what do you feel like that they could be doing more of for Limerick?
I mean, like, if you look at places like Morass, South Hill, West in the Islands, just like, you know, people saying like antisocial behaviour or whatever in there, like, but I mean, it's just the kids having there's nothing to do around there. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing to do down there is because there's nothing put in place for them to do. Do you know what I mean? They're just left to their own devices. And then same with homelessness. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's ridiculous the amount of people on the streets. Like even in Limerick, like I see, like,
it's gone much worse. I was only there the other day. Like,
it's gone much worse, and it's like, there's a fucking like a solution to that. Like I don't know what it is, but like there must be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Even with like all the abandoned, you'd be walking by all those abandoned buildings that the homeless people are outside, like in places like Limerick and shit. It's kind of fucking mad. Like,
all the derelict places in Limerick, man, it's mental.
Yeah.
That stuff always annoys me, where it's just like, you know, like a load of derelict buildings not being used, and then like it's like, how can someone like a politician or something walk into an area and go like, oh look, there's homeless people there that need a roof over their head. Oh look, there's a place with a roof with no one inside it. Actually, look, there's no solution here. Walk away. Like, you know, like the solution
they're addressing
right there,
two different problems.
Yeah, the solution is right there. So you have all these buildings that are like, you know, like they say there's like a shortage of houses in Ireland. There's not, like. There's endless fucking derelict properties that they could just put a bit of work into and give people somewhere to stay, like.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
then the rent then is just
the whole thing is fucking mental, like, and it's bizarre. And like, you know, I always say as well, they're shooting themselves in the foot, because like a lot of those fucking politicians are landlords, and this is the thing about like a lot of Irish government is they're actually too thick to realise, because they say they're about profit, but if they actually people give them too much credit sometimes. I think they say they're only doing it for themselves, for the profit. That part's true, but people say that they're kind of being smart by the thing is they're not. They actually don't realise that they could actually make a lot more money by changing the things to benefit for others, like, you know, them, you know, lowering the price of property could actually bring in more rent. They just have it in their head that like they need to keep the price up or whatever. Some of them, like, who are voting for it, to none of the situations to change because they're landlords, don't realise that they could actually be making a shitload more money by changing these things. But I don't know what the fuck it is. Like, I think it's just stupid. Like, I think they're just stupid.
Stupidity and greed,
Yeah, stupidity and greed, mixed together, creates that situation.
Yeah.
And like, here in Thurles, I don't know what that thing is in Limerick. Maybe it's like Thurles is like the fucking home of GA, so it's probably even more here. But what we find here and what we're trying to change is that, like, outside of so there is something to do if you're into sports, specifically hurling. Outside of that, like, everyone's just like forgotten about. Is that like that in Limerick, or is Limerick even not even that big into hurling? Or
No, Limerick, Limerick be big into hurling now, just
Yeah.
'cause, like, you know, in a parish, you know, like other
Huge.
parishes, no,
Yeah.
it's big into hurling. It's just, obviously, if you're not into, like, sports, you know what I mean, it's kind of,
same thing, like,
it's hard to find, but obviously Music Chain's a very, very good program, you know.
Yeah. And if you were given the key to the city tomorrow and they said you can change one thing instantly for the city, what would you change? It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I don't know. I suppose it'd make everywhere like free to live.
Yeah.
Cancel out all rents and shit.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Have you any? So, like, you're taking a break with music at the moment and just stepping back from it. Have you any, like, plans? Oh, because something actually I thought was really interesting that I read. I think it was in that same article that you're not even sure if music is your main thing in life, and maybe there's something else kind of thing you were saying.
Yeah, man. I just don't. Sometimes it just feels like a chore that I have to go to write. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because I'm like this far in now, and, you know, I have a small bit of a fan base, and I'm doing shows or whatever. So, like, I might as well keep going. But then there's another part of me, like, where I'm like halfway up the country in a place I don't want to be, just doing show for a bit of money, and I'm like, what the fuck am I even doing here? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
that was one of
But I suppose as well that could just be me being like I like just my own surroundings. You know what I mean? I like being in Limerick. It's I don't know. I suppose like a comfort thing or something. But no, I don't. Just writing in general, man, sometimes just feels a chore to me. I procrastinate a lot as well. You know, I just like, I'll do it tomorrow or whatever. But never get around to do it then. You know.
That was genuinely one of the most interesting things I've seen anyone say in an article. Like, someone who's, like, you know, found something like that, and it was interesting because you're sort of expected, like, you know, people easily get locked into that. You see that all the time, even when we're talking about people who say a fleeting thought where they go, I want to be a teacher. Sometimes they get so caught in that thought that they stop thinking about everything else in life.
Yeah.
And then they could end up, like, becoming a teacher, then they're resentful, then they're being weird with kids, you know, hitting whatever the fuck, or being that shit, like, because it's like, we have a bad habit of finding something that either we're good at or that we enjoy, and, like, locking into that and forgetting about the fucking endless possibilities there is in life.
Yeah.
And would you have, like, anything in mind what something else might be when you were younger? Did you ever want to be something else, or?
No, I kind of want to go travelling. That's about it. Just travelling. Obviously, I said, you know, I like being in Limerick and all, but I don't know. I just feel like
see the world.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Just see more of the world, see what's out there, you know.
Yeah.
Gets a bit boring in Limerick sometimes, you know, because it's such a fucking small place compared to other places in the world, you know. But
yeah,
I was supposed to go over to America last year, man, to New York to do a show, but
oh wow,
I had to I even worked the way around to get like, because obviously you have to be like vaccinated to get over to America last year, and they were very strict about it. But I found a workaround to get over there. But then they turned, like, I think it was like a few days before I was supposed to get the flight, they turned around and said, I can come over to the venue, I can sit down and watch the show, but I'm not allowed to perform on stage or something.
That's weird. That's stupid. Yeah.
It's like, all right.
What was the workaround? Are you able to, is that like?
It was like a doctor's.
Okay, yeah.
Like saying I didn't have to.
Yeah.
Saying I didn't have to do it.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's bizarre though. You could sit in the crowd where it's like you wouldn't be safer on stage away from the crowd.
You'd actually more of a risk in the crowd.
Yeah, way more. Yeah,
it's bizarre. Like yeah, I don't know what the fuck. God, that'd be mad performing in fucking. New York's always an interesting place. Like I get like not anxiety anymore. I used to when I was younger. Like not anxiety. It was never even anxiety. It's like I used to just. Like when I'd get off the train and get into Dublin, I just like I don't want to be here. It was just like too much. I would have been definitely more introverted, I suppose, to be a part of it, and I just like the noise and the chaos or something like that was just too much for me. But I've always wondered about New York, like if that's what Dublin does to me, like what the fuck would New York do?
Yeah, like when you think of the fact, like what Dublin is, what, 1 million people?
It's tiny.
New York is 8 million. Like,
yeah, and it's the thing that, do you know what the mad thing that puts me off about Dublin? I get like fucking, I don't know, because I'm not like, I love heights and I never get vertigo on top of things. I get vertigo when I'm looking up at like a fucking building or something like that. I don't know what it is. I think it's starting to get less, but it was more when I was younger. But like I couldn't imagine staring at the things in New York, like the Empire State Building. Like what the like, I can't even comprehend like seeing the size of that. Like
I'd say it's fucking crazy over there.
Yeah, it's weird. It puts things into perspective though, and you see like, I kind of would like to go there, because then if I went to Dublin, I'd be like, oh, this is like a little village, you know. It'd be more refreshing, like. Yeah, your song, your song, The Pope.
Yeah.
What's that about? Like, why did you write a song saying you wanted to be like the Pope? Where did that come from?
Yeah, shit, man. Fucking just wanted to write a song about being the Pope. I don't know. It was funny because it was like the tune, the beat I got made for it. Like I didn't know what to do to it, and then I don't know. I just smoked some weed one day and it just fucking popped into my head. I kind of regret doing it though, because it's
really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit corny to me now. Do you know what I mean? Even the video. A funny thing about the video, when I was doing the video, actually, I was like literally dressed as the Pope, going around in this fucking car with the thing down or whatever. And then I went to the city centre and we were doing shots. And it was like, I think it was like 8 o'clock at night or something.
Was that in front of the Ferris wheel and those shots?
Yeah. And a lot of kids around 12, 13 started pelting me with apples.
Okay.
Right? Like I was getting very bad at them as well, because I have bad eyesight, so I can't. My glasses were off, so I couldn't see who. I didn't know if they were like fucking 18 or like 12. So I was giving cheek to a lot of 12-year-olds. You know what I mean?
Dressed as the Pope.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was a bit mad. Nah, but it was fucking it's a funny tune.
It's funny. I wanted to ask you about that, because I was it was in the Ferris wheel. I was trying to think. I was like, what is that like? You like being in a public setting dressed as a Pope? Like, was it strange? Because you have to act nearly like when you're doing the music video. Was it strange to do that? Because on the video, that's the thing about music videos, is like it looks so normal. Like if we're watching that, I go like it's not like weird or anything like that. But for you, is it like weird being there? You know, because you can't hear the tune in your ears and shit.
I was genuine. I did not want to go near town dressed like that. The amount of looks I was getting by, I thought I don't know, I had a weird feeling I was going to get broke up, do you know what I mean? It was fucking
really?
Yeah.
Just being dressed as a Pope, it's not. He has a lot of haters, the Pope.
He does, man.
Yeah, there's that guy. Yeah, it's a funny, I love that tune though. It's a cool concept, like it definitely, I don't know what it is, but like what I thought was interesting though is like there's a mad quick as well contrast between that and your latest album, but with all the trad and stuff. Like how did like that form? Like where did the idea of like you're just gonna do a whole album connect a hip hop or a rap over trad, like where did that come from?
So I know a fella called Shane Davis. He's another rapper from Limerick. He be doing bits with the Kneecap Boys. So he kind of told me about the idea that he was gonna do an album just pure trad, just all trad. And I was like, at the time I was like heavy into like, boom bap beats and all that type of stuff, so I was like, I didn't really understand. But the more he explained it to me, the more I was like, that's actually a good idea. And then fast forward like, I don't know, 6-7 years or something, me and in the gallery were talking about what we were gonna do for the debut album. And we were just going through a load of like different ideas, and we just came to the conclusion like that if we just did another like hip hop, album with like just the normal beats like boom bap or whatever, like it just wouldn't stand out at all. Do you know what I mean? It's because like these days, like everything like is so saturated with music. The scene is like everyone's a rapper now. Do you know what I mean? So kind of have to stand out. But he was able to. He knows all the trad heads that like worked on the album, so he was able to get all them to do the beats and compose all the like music for it. So when I got the beats first though, I was like, what the fuck, how am I supposed to rap over any of this? Like the pockets were mad. But then I managed to pull it off, and it turned out.
Yeah, like when you say pockets, what do you mean with that? Well, how are you? Good.
Crack.
This is Jordan, aka Strange Boy. This is Hugh.
Is this the Undertaker?
Hugh, yeah, it's the Undertaker.
Yes, what's happening, bro?
This is the Pope, this is the Undertaker.
Yes.
I saw the Pope was coming, so I got dressed up, man.
Okay, slick. Shit, man, I need to get myself a suit like that.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah.
That's what he wears whenever he's meeting the Pope. What? Which is it? Oh, yellow mic. That is yellow mic. Why isn't that coming on? Can you talk into that, Hugh? Yeah. 1 second. Can you do a 3 and a 4?
4, 5.
Perfect.
My parents are listening to your tune every night. I put it on every night for them. They love it though.
Really? Did you?
And I try and stare at my father and see does he laugh, and he does.
Yeah.
That's right.
Eddie.
Did you actually show it to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's funny.
We've had it every night in the Ryan house for the last week or so.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And he loves the bishops. This.
Stop.
That's very good. Yeah, you're just saying about the trad, and yeah, it's funny. Like it's like, oh yeah, the pockets. I was asking about that. What were you saying? What pockets were?
Just like, I mean, like places where you can hop in and actually do like, be on beat.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like the rhythm is off. It's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. It'd be like, wait, do you know what I mean? So like, trad is mad different like that, man. So I was like, I didn't even think I'd be able to pull it off at all.
Yeah. Because hip hop is all just like 4/4, isn't it? What's trad, isn't it? Like, I don't know much about music.
Like trad could be 4/4 if it's a reel. It could be 6/8 or.
But there could be the hard.
But the thing is with trad is that like in Ireland when people play trad, generally speaking, you kind of swing it a bit. So it's like
okay.
It wouldn't be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. It'd be like instead of being like. It'd be like,
yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Ba-dum.
And it's
like that'd be used like, I don't know. You see a little bit of that in hip hop with like hi-hats and stuff, but like sometimes like, depending on what area of hip hop, like it's like. And then I don't know, like there's no guarantee then with trad, like it's a lot kind of looser. Like a lot of people wouldn't necessarily be used to recording trad with a metronome, like
Yeah. Why are you laughing?
Just think of what I parked outside. I was in a hurry to get here. Like.
Oh really? You parked weird.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you parked. Oh shit.
You parked down the road or something?
No, outside the door.
Oh right,
Yeah.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Are you worried about the park?
No, it's fine.
That's funny.
Well, yeah, I think it's really cool, like the whole, like mixing trad and hip hop. Cause, like,
Yeah.
I remember was always saying to people for years, like, I don't understand why more people don't make like trad fusion, because like there's so much of it there. Like we're surrounded by it in Ireland, like, and like it's like there's so many tunes then as well. Like, even if you're looking at it from like a kind of copyright point of view, like as in like, you know, if you're taking samples from like famous songs, you owe them money.
Yeah.
But like if you're taking samples, if your sample is like, you know, a trad song written for like fucking 300 years ago,
Exactly.
Yeah.
you owe nothing to no one. Like. And like I don't know why they don't even do it in pop. Like, you know, like
Cool.
like some pop artists out there, like who needs a new melody for their song, could literally just find some old trad tune, take a line of it, change a few notes. They don't even have to change the notes, but like make it sound less trad.
Yeah.
And there was a whole song, and they didn't have.
Fucking
There's a
handy
thing with Elvis. You know, or it's not Elvis. He didn't write it, but ain't nothing but a hound dog.
Oh yeah,
that's
that was
a traditional
that was
Irish tune.
Is it?
Is he?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Big Mama Thornton did the first recording of that.
Yeah, she did. But
Whoa.
before that, like, it's actually a Irish melody kind of.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
That's mad, yeah.
But where did you get the beat for the Pope thing? What is it, Bowron or something? Is it?
Yeah, it was Bowron. What was that? It was Bowron. It was banjo, I think.
Did you just record that live, or is it kind of a sequence thing?
Yeah. So basically, like a lot of trad heads just came together, composed the beat, and then when I got the beat, I just recorded it up and clear. It was kind of mad though. I didn't really know. It didn't really sound natural to me at first, but came out grand, so I was happy.
That's class, and it actually does sound like that is Limerick,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does,
yeah.
man. I think rap and trad go very well together. Do you know what I mean, man? So suits.
Yeah, it definitely catches that Limerick thing, something about the two of them together as well, because Limerick's a funny place. Like, it's always had that sort of raw thing about it, but still very Irish at the same time. Nearly like the fucking, I'd nearly see, Cork's called the Rebel County for more historical reasons, but there's nearly this sort of underdog thing about Limerick as a whole. Like, it's like a more like Irish, I don't know what to
I agree. Yeah, there's something really cool about it. Like, as in, like, when, even like going back to the Cranberries, when she had her accent just on it, like, just became cool, and you just went, wow.
Yeah.
And your thing, I think, is something similar about it. That it's refreshing. You've heard it. It's new, but it's kind of based in traditions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and that's what really makes it strong. Like, you know.
I love that one you did with Hazy, where the what one was that? Where the laughing was in it. And
Oh,
the shot.
yeah.
I love that. There's something about that just fair stood out. Like,
Yeah, no, that's fucking mad. That's a mad one to do live, man. Do you know what I mean? I get the crowd to laugh with me, and
no way.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's a crazy fucking.
Yeah.
It's like
What's it like for gigs at the minute?
hysterical.
Like,
it's good, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been gigging most of the year now. So did a few gigs over the summer as well. I think I did like 2-3 festivals or something like that. But getting burnt out now. Do you know what I mean?
rest some of it,
Yeah, man. Just up and down the country. Just
yeah.
nah. I just want to take a break. Like, do you know what I mean? Need some time for myself as well before I start the next album. So I'm gonna take a nice old break.
Do you think the next album will be connected with trad or anything? Or?
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna be all trad. I'm gonna
Yeah.
push that as much as I can, I suppose. You know what I mean? It's like there's not like it's not really been done before, so like everything is kind of new. Do you know what I mean? I suppose so.
Yeah, because you really make it that your thing then as well. Like, because I think that's like, I think so much like there's a lot of artists. Yeah, I think that's where most musicians fall down, is not having that thing. Like, if you find that sound that like is yours and you connect it to your identity, that can really like, that's the thing that'll make it take off. Like, and
how does your creativity thing work? Do you actually physically go into a room and just start doing it, or is it go around in your head while you're walking around, or what? How does it work?
I might have a thought for a song in my head for a while,
Yeah.
like even before I write anything, and then I get the beat, and then I just listen to the beat for a while, and then one of the days, if I feel inspired, I'll just go into, I don't know, it's usually my bedroom, but could be anywhere. I'll just sit down and I'll just start writing.
And does it take forever?
Sometimes like, it only takes forever if I'm being like a perfectionist. You know what I mean? Just judging everything that comes out. But I think the best way to write is just let it like write, even if it's the shittiest thing ever, just write it down on the page, and then you can edit it later anyway and take bits out. But if you can't edit a fucking blank page, you know what I mean? So
just do loads of it.
Yeah, just do loads of it, and there's bound to be something good in there. Do you know what I mean?
I played the Pope for my cousin last night, or whatever, and he said, "God, that's really well written, isn't it?" And he's like, he's 10 years older than me or whatever, but he liked it. My dad, who's 88, liked it.
Oh shit!
So that's
mad.
You're kind of, you've got a big fan base.
Wide range.
Spread, and they say, "God, that's well written, isn't it?"
Yeah, no, it's good, man. At one of my gigs, there was a mad, like, the ages, they were all from like 70 down to like, there was like a 10-year-old at the gig. Do you know what I mean? It was mad. It's good though, having that like
spread.
When you're going writing the lyrics, like, just because like because I always love talking, because like when I'm writing songs as well, like, and different people have like different kind of methods, like, but do you ever do that thing where, like, just say if you're writing over like a beat, like would you come up with like your rhythms before your lyrics, or your lyrics and then apply your rhythm too? Because like I know like sometimes if I'm writing a song, like I might come up with like a rhythm, and like I'll just know then, like, oh well, I want the last word there to be time. I haven't a clue what the lyric is.
yeah. I do that a lot as well. Yeah, no, that comes into. I want it to like flow well. Do you know what I mean? I'm big into rhyme schemes, all like the rhyming patterns and all that. So if it rhymes well, like, I love it. But usually I just get it out all in one go and just write as much as I can, and then see what I have.
Would you have a massive volume then to edit down? Like, is that the way it works? Or
I just have a shitload of lyrics, and then like I'd write. Usually now, well, it used to be not this way. I used to go months without writing. Like I'd write maybe like a few lines every few months, but these days, like, I'd write like 2 or 3 songs in a day. Like, do you know what I mean? Just they'd be shit, like, but they'd be songs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool. Like, just do shit, and then good ones come. Like,
exactly. Yeah, eventually they come. Do you know what I mean?
That's like the best advice someone ever gave me for songwriting was like, people get too caught in their head about like when they write a song, when they're writing a song and it's shit, like, and you're like, oh fuck no, I have to wait till I get the perfect line, I have to wait for this. Put it off, and then you never finish the song.
Exactly.
Like, if you could just get into the habit of just like you said, put it down on the paper, song's done. Even if you look at it and go in 2 weeks time and you nearly laugh at how bad it is.
Yeah.
You still got that out of your head.
100%.
And you might you might take like one thing from that later. You might not, but like, you still get it out and move on to the next one.
100%, man. It's the best. It's literally the most efficient way. It's the best way. I think it's the only way, really. Like it should work, because like just kind of judging yourself on mad high standards, it never works. Do you know what I mean?
Listening to your own songs with other people's ears while you're doing it.
Yeah, it's just not for me. No.
And is there much rewriting involved then?
Yeah, loads. Yeah, 100%. So like I might even just sometimes I have a song and it comes out exactly the way I want it, but usually like there's like loads of bits I have to rewrite. But sometimes as well there's not as much. There's just have to kind of change the way, like, maybe even just the timing of it, or just like a few small words. You know what I mean? It all depends.
Do you ever notice, like, as well with bands, when they're playing songs live again and again, they've recorded it and then they said they wish they hadn't recorded because it evolves from the audience and stuff. Like, different things happen to the song, and it changes. And that's
like they're not happy with how it got and ended up.
It's kind of like by playing something live, somebody might do something with the guitar and just that gets everybody going a bit. Shit, we should have put that in the recorded version. They get better as they
100%.
mature. Like, and lyrics change sometimes as well in songs.
Exactly, man. Yeah. No, I was supposed to there was talks there recently, just of doing like a live version of my album, because the live version is like much better than the actual version that's like recorded, just because it's like it's evolved on stage. You know what I mean? The live set, and there's so many different things added in. You know what I mean? So, or
even the energy would be different, because like if you're just if you're in a studio in front of a mic, like you might rap in one way, but like if you have the crowd like proper going for it, you can really give it socks. Like I even find myself, like if I'm singing at home, I can't like belt when I'm singing. I find it really hard. Like I just kind of sing normally. But if I'm at a gig, and I have like people playing music behind me and I have the crowd there, like I can belt no bother.
Exactly, man. Yeah,
it's completely different energy. Like
completely different. Yeah. Sometimes it's better. Usually it's better. Do you know what I mean? The live version of albums.
Do you record rough versions in your house first or anything before you?
No. I'd usually record all my stuff now up in Kilfenora and Clare, in the gallery. So I'd like go up there, maybe stay there for a few days, record all the demos, and then we see what we have, and then I might re-record them later on if I need to.
He's insanely talented as well.
His
stuff is unreal. Like,
where's that?
He's the guy. So he did the Pope beat and stuff like that, didn't he?
He did he got like, I don't know if it's all him, but I'm sure he did something. He got all the boys to like compose the beats, and just in general, man, he's just a fucking talented.
What's his name?
Enda Gallery.
Gallery is a good name, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. 100%, man. He's a sound mush as well.
Yeah, that's class.
Yeah.
Also I was reading comments on your stuff. Like, it was really interesting. You're talking about like older people liking the stuff. Is like there's some amount of people I was reading, like good few people that were like, I'd never be into hip hop, but like they're mad into trad and were like, this is really fucking cool and creative. So it's like it's a cool like bridging those two audience, like, because trad is like, you're not really gonna see trad as like, I mean, it was rebel music and stuff at one time, but now it's kind of very much like in the minds of the collective, it's like nearly diddly diddly, and people like yourselves or Lankum, just Lankum and stuff like that. Just bringing that raw energy back to it is so cool.
Like, is kind of on the up, because I think for too long there, like trad was very much like the kind of Americanized, commercialized version of trad.
Yeah,
you talk to like the majority
CDs at the airport.
Yeah, and if you talk to like any of the lads we know who play trad, like, or anyone who plays trad, like they're so sick of that shit. Like, so like even things like it's mad how much trad can work like with hip hop, or like I've seen people like turn trad into like fucking like reggae dub too. And it works perfectly. Like psytrance, everything. Like trad is just so diverse, like, and then you do get that perfect thing of like you were saying, where like you have people who like love trad but wouldn't like the other genre. But the kind of nostalgia and familiarity of liking trad brings them into that one, and you end up like affecting so many more people. Like,
yeah, it is cool. Like, it's cool to bring it back. And bring them back to Spirit of Ireland to younger ears then as well. Like, it's really cool. I think we'll finish up now because we reached the hour. If you normally do an hour. Thanks a million for coming on.
Nice one for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, because you don't normally do interviews. You even said
this will probably be my only interview ever.
That's amazing.
Glad I made it.
That's brilliant. Thanks a million for coming on. Really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. If you want to support the show and you want Owen to not starve, press subscribe. If you do want him to starve because you're lousy, then just leave. Exit, press the X button now. But feed Owen now and press subscribe. Thanks. See, if people want to follow you on Instagram, or we'll put links to all your stuff in the description below. Right. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Sound for that, man. That was cool. That was a great conversation.